Doot. Make sure that's on mute. Right. Right. Alright, start talking.
Alright,
Right.
Betty bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. Alright, if I put it on my batter, Betty bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. Better butter, that would make my batter better. Okay.
Got it. Alright, so we are live.
Yay! I will share your live stream. Gunstar is climbing around me.
Aww.
Oh, bumblies. Bonking the old noggin.
Precious little Bane.
5 with game dev. Palette stack.
Doot. Okay. Had to change settings a little bit in OBS to be able to see this, otherwise you would have seen just a blue screen. Okay, so where do we even begin? I'm guessing new project.
Alright, so yeah, start a new project. We could either make like a throwaway project just to learn the match 3, or we can learn the match 3, but then sort of tweak it into becoming palette stack. So we could name it either like a throwaway project or actually name it palette stack and see if we could.
Worst case, we could play around with it, and if it works for palette stack, we'll tweak it from there, and if not, we'll throw it away. So
Alright.
I'll just call it palette stack PS test dummy.
Okay.
Forward, more mobile, or compatibility?
I want to say mobile compatibility, because then you could play it using like a tablet on itch.io. It makes a very lightweight game, and if it's the kind of falling block puzzle game that I'm thinking of, it might not be too bad to just play it on a touchscreen or have virtual buttons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that would still be usable on, say, like computers and whatnot as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mobile is also very good for HTML games, so games that you will export to your itch.io site.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll play, like, games that'll play online without needing to register or download.
You know, let me take a little bit of a... Let me just not stream the path file.
Yeah.
It just for security reasons. Probably in my best interest.
Meow, 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 meow. What you want, Squeak? Meow, meow, meow. Why are you always so social at a time like now when my attention is elsewhere?
Cat's like, I just wanna.
Or is it because I'm talking? I think it's probably because I'm talking more, so he thinks I'm talking to him.
Or maybe jealous, like, you need to give me attention.
Yeah, maybe that.
Okay, I've got a file named palette stack. Maybe that will help. There we go. Version control metadata.
Oh yeah, that's like if you want to use GitLab or GitGood to share your project with collaborators, and whenever like the way that version control works is basically like when you change or update something about your game, only the changes are kept track of, but everyone can access them. So as you update your game, everyone gets access to those updates, and they can make changes, and you can get access to their changes.
Huh.
And the version control system just basically makes sure that everyone's working on the same version of the same project.
Okay, I'm gonna have to.
We could learn that at some point.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Yay.
still learning. I'm mostly learning how to use Git without GitHub because I think Microsoft bought GitHub at some point. And yeah, I want an open source alternative, and GitLab is one of them, and GitGood is another. And of course, you could use Git without GitHub, which was what I was learning before. It's a little bit tough for me though.
All right, we've got a grid.
Let me see here. Oh yeah, we have the starting 3D scene. You could also change it to 2D. I think Godot displays a 2D and 3D scene at the same time, and most of the time if you're playing a 3D game, the 2D component is like the UI. And if it's a 2D game, then the 3D component might be the background, or it could be the UI, or it could be nothing.
All right.
But since we're doing a fallen block puzzle game, I'm guessing you want to click 2D scene on the left there to create a 2D node.
Yep.
Actually, let me just look at this guide that I've been searching for. So see how much of this 3.0 guide we can follow along with in 4.0 or 4 point stuff.
4 point something.
Yeah, the guide is for a 3 point something, and we're following along to try and build it in a 4 point something. It's kind of the, I guess I'm not sure if ephemeral is the right word for it. The ephemeral nature of these YouTube guides is that you can't really update a video guide the way that you can update a wiki or a doc. You just have to keep uploading new versions of the guide until you're sick of making that same guide.
Yep.
Like, I was trying to make a Vulkan C++ tutorial, and even that, my coding style has changed, so I think I have to restart on that guide. So the guy's explaining the scene hierarchy right now, which we don't really need to worry about because we've learned that stuff already. If you've ever used a game engine or like RPG Maker or whatever, you're probably familiar with with how it goes.
I barely ever used RPG Maker. But
I used a lot of the 2003 version, I believe. It's either RM2000 or RM2K3. The one, like, if I recall, there were a bunch of versions that tried to, by default, had a Dragon Quest perspective in its battle system. I think it was RM2K3 that had a Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6 kind of perspective where your characters are standing in a line on the right and your enemies are on the left. Yeah. Otherwise, the other RPG makers had a Dragon Quest system where you don't see your protagonists, you only see the enemies, and you are looking at them from kind of a first-person perspective.
So it kind of like almost a Phantasy Star kind of situation.
Yeah, except your characters aren't shown.
Yeah.
You don't even see the backs of
exactly.
your characters. Yeah.
Alright, where do I start from here?
All right, so you got your 2D scene there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually watching this video guide at double speed, so
Oh,
I'm hoping that it gets to something we can. Oh, right. Okay, here's something we can use. Go into project settings.
project settings.
Oh, you haven't clicked 2D scene there.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, 2D scene on the side. When it says create a root node, on the scene panel on the left,
Okay.
there's a blue circle, a red circle, a green circle. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Doot.
Okay, so we have that sort of establishes that we establishes in the engine that we want like a 2D game or a 2D scene at least.
Got it.
So go under project, go project settings,
Yep.
and you have. All right, I might just need to catch up on the stream feed here. So you have a big window full of options. You might want to activate advanced settings if there's a little toggle switch there.
Advanced settings. Oh.
Oh, I don't see this window. Okay.
Uh,
Um.
also, I might want. Oh. Actually, try the meats.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, the window you're looking at does not show up on the stream.
I thought I was sharing it on,
It's a separate window. You're sharing the Godot main window.
hold on. Okay. Darn it. Okay. So, just walk me through this.
Okay, so let me open up the project settings on my own Godot so I could walk you through it so I can see something like what you're seeing there. I'll open up my own element burst puzzle in progress as well.
Mm-hmm.
So go to Godot, waiting for it to open. Okay, it's up with project settings. So you got your advanced settings activated.
Mm-hmm.
First thing you'll see is application config, name, might as well
Yep.
name and
PS test
description
dummy.
if you like. Yeah.
Not
Use hidden project data
sure
directory.
if this will be. You know what? I'll just put first build.
Okay. And you can make an icon if you want. This is all like sort of front-facing stuff. Hidden project data directory, I'm guessing, would be like if you don't want your players to mess with like to mod your game or to mess with their save files or something.
Right. Okay. Icon, I'll figure that out later.
Yeah. Under run, you want to save like a main scene. That'll be the first scene that calls all other scenes when you run. I usually like to call it main. In a C++ project, I'd call it main.cxx. Here it would be called like main.tscn because the what you save in a Godot project are tscn files, which are scenes. So you want a main scene to call all the others.
Tom, Sammy, Carrie, Ned, right?
Tom, Sammy, Candy, Ned. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. All right.
Boot splash. So if you want a splash image at the beginning. Display. That's probably the most important thing for now. So our display resolution, you want kind of a vertical resolution. So I would say maybe, but you also want it to run in a browser window. So maybe 1280 height and 720 width.
12. Yeah.
Actually, wait, no. The height would be 1080 at maximum.
1080.
So I need to do some math. I need to do some scribbling here. So if 1920 by 1080, 1920 is to 1080, what 1080 is to what, right?
Isn't it 1080 by 720?
No, 1280 by 720 is the
Oh, wait.
is a resolution, but it's not the resolution of a. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to fit a rectangle. I'm trying to fit a 1080p rectangle vertically and shrink it down so it fits inside another 1080p rectangle. So it fits inside itself. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So if I make it 1920 by 1080, image in GIMP and duplicate it. Or no, wait. I just need to scribble down some math here.
All right.
1920 over 1080 equals 1080 over question mark. And then the way that I remember how to do this was you multiply the diagonal and then divide by the other.
Mm-hmm.
So 1080 times 1080 divide by 1920. So open up calculator. 1080 times 1080 divide 1920 equals 607.5. 607.5. So if this is the width and this is the height, then the width is 1080 and the height is 607.
All right. It's a strange resolution, though.
Yeah, but it'll make sure that it'll fit inside a 1080 monitor.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we do 1920 height and 1080 width, then it'll fit inside a phone screen comfortably. It'll max it out. But if you're playing on web and if you're playing on a web page, some of that screen real estate is going to be taken up by your title bars and stuff.
Okay, fair.
So you want it to be smaller than that.
That's fair.
And I mean, you could optionally resize it to full screen anyway, but it'll still be kind of
resizable, borderless.
Yeah. Those window options are let's see. Let me close GIMP out here so I can get back to my Godot.
Well, maybe
engine.
not borderless. I like the idea of getting to stretch. Your screen.
So if you activate resizable, then you're gonna want a border to be able to drag around.
Yep.
I like to have the game always on top, but you might not like it.
Mm-hmm. I like to have flexibility with that sometimes, depends on the game, really. If it's that you want to take a moment and then just browse online and then go back.
Yeah.
Let's see. Energy saving. Keep screen on.
Yeah. So this is one that I think if you turn it off, then you'll allow the player to save energy by, like, if they have their screensaver turned on after a minute of inactivity, then the game will pause itself if they just put their phone down. Otherwise, if your game has long cutscenes where you're expecting the player to put down their controller and watch the cutscene, then it might be important to have energy saving keep screen on activated so that the game just doesn't pause itself in the middle of the cutscene thinking the player's gone.
So maybe best to have that off.
Yeah, for a game like this where there's no cutscenes, it's pretty much just, does your game have cutscenes? If yes, keep screen on. If not, then turn that off.
Well, there might be short ones.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of thinking of, like, maybe how Puyo Puyo has a few seconds of their banter and then game.
It's like if someone complains that I guess you just gotta either, if you playtest frequently and you can flip this switch on and off frequently, then you can just kind of leave it at whatever. But otherwise, you have to kind of think about what kind of complaints will come in. If a complaint comes in like, I put my phone down for a second and the game stopped and the game went into the background, or my phone put itself to sleep, then you might want to activate keep screen on. But if the player says, I put my phone down and next time I picked it up the battery was dead because the game disabled my screensaver, then you might want to deactivate keep screen on.
Yeah. Handheld orientation, I would say maybe, well, for
if you
this
want both,
landscape,
use sensor. Yeah, this would be a vertical game, so I would say portrait. If you turn the phone, if you turn the phone sideways, then it'll squash the game screen even further. So you probably don't want that. So portrait would be best for a falling block puzzle.
VSync enabled.
VSync, that's one that I would just keep on the default because for a relatively lo-fi game, you generally don't need VSync unless it's like fast, unless you somehow have like a fast action lo-fi game.
Mm-hmm.
Turning off VSync will, like, the worst thing I've seen in turning off VSync is that screen tearing will occur.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really notice screen tearing that much, but so most of the time I would probably keep VSync disabled.
Mm-hmm.
But like VSync generally prevents screen tearing, and I think it makes your game match the screen refresh rate, which is usually 60 frames a second or some multiple thereof.
Mm-hmm. And then iOS, allow high refresh rate, yes. Hide home indicator, hide status bar, suppress UI gesture. Well, maybe
On
not
mine,
suppress UI
yeah,
gesture.
on my game, on my settings, all of those are on by default.
Okay.
So I don't know what's. I haven't used an iOS device in such a long time. I'm really not sure. I would need an iOS tester to tell me whether these options should be on or off.
I would say not suppress the UI gesture. Because what if you want to exit out?
Well,
Or is it.
I could think of a situation where like you want to move a block to the right, so you sort of drag it to the right, and then the UI or the iOS
Okay.
decides that that is a UI gesture to move to the previous program or something like that.
Play test it from
So
there?
for yeah, so for an iOS game, you might want to disable UI gestures just um,
Oh my
so that the
gosh.
player isn't constantly swiping off of the game.
There's a mouse cursor image.
Uh-huh.
Huh. Hmm. Food for thought later.
You'd have to do it in
Yep. Oh,
code.
I can't save it as a PNG and
Oh yeah, you can use a PNG. I think a PNG is actually ideal because it has transparency.
mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to have like a
idea.
square cursor
If
with
it
a picture in it.
if it's on any type of computer situation, it would be a palette knife.
Hmm.
Brushes are a little too common for painting stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna leave the audio as it is for right now.
Buses, general, driver, video display compensation. Next is editor, script,
Run
movie
script.
writer. Oh yeah, you want your movie writer. Let's see, mix rate normal, mix rate good, speaker mode, stereo sure, MJPEG quality. You can adjust that up or down depending on how big or small you want your movie files to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like 0.75 is probably pretty good for posting on social media.
Mm-hmm.
You could lower it down for a lo-fi game, or max it out if you really want to show off your if you really want to show off your game's particle physics or something.
Mm-hmm. Eh,
Um,
play with it for right now.
yeah. Oh wait, one thing you do want to set
Mm-hmm.
is movie file. Set a directory and a file name. So set a directory to put your files into, and
Okay, it's still on palette stack. I'll just say
I'd put it in a subfolder called movies or something, and then yeah, call it like capture, and it'll just stick a .avi on the end of that.
mm-hmm.
Frames per second, 60 FPS.
1 second here. Creating a new folder here.
Mhm.
But
So now, if you click that little film reel way over in the upper right, then whenever you run your game, it'll capture a video and name it that name and put it in the folder that you've specified.
now what? I'm sorry.
Oh, like now that you have the movie Movie Maker set. There's a little film reel in the upper right corner of the
Oh,
Godot
yeah.
editor. Yeah, and when you activate it, it'll show a little blue border around the around all those control buttons. So that's just telling you that whenever you run your game, it'll capture a movie,
Okay.
and then you can post it. So it's a really nice little feature that I've tested out a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Probably something to play around with. Um,
Mhm.
okay, movie writers, all set up.
Yeah.
Import.
Naming is just something that I would worry about if you've coded for a while and you have a preference for like Pascal case or Snake case.
I really
Main run RX.
can't really say much on that.
Yeah, run is similarly for if you've run stuff from the command line and you know what like run args are.
Mm-hmm.
um, Re-import missing imported files. Use multiple threads. Those are on by default. Convert text resources to binary. Looks to be on by default. Version control. We don't have that yet, so I wouldn't worry about it. Physics 2D and 3D. I usually don't like to rely on a game engine's physics system. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it would make I feel like it homogenizes games
Mm-hmm.
if they all use the same kind of physics system. So it's not something I would worry about right now. Um, Common physical ticks per second 60, physics steps per frame 8, physics jitter physics enable object picking. So that's probably not something we're going to worry about. Debug settings. Maximum functions is a 16,000 to high number.
Yep.
STD out. Wouldn't worry about that. File logging. Oh, I don't want to worry about that. GD script warnings. Everything is on, it looks like.
Yep.
Yeah. Shader languages. We're not using shader languages yet. Something we can learn later on. It's apparently very versatile, especially if you have a decent GPU. You can get some crazy fancy effects out of it, which
Mm-hmm.
I hope to learn. Shapes. Ooh, looks like you can customize your colors.
Mm-hmm.
Compression formats. Um, Probably something I wouldn't mess with right now. Rendering, occlusion culling. Okay, this can affect performance. I'd probably leave it at defaults for now. If you've got Vulkan, then it should say Vulkan by default.
Yep.
Textures, GL compatibility. Renderer. Okay, so we've got mobile. We're doing mobile for now.
Yep.
We could do multi-threaded, but I don't know if we should mess with that for now.
Okay.
Limits, lights, and shadows, 2D. Oh, 2D, that might be important. Snap 2D transforms to pixel. Yeah, probably good for a pixel art game.
Yep.
2D vertices to pixel, yes.
All right.
Shader compiler, reflections, global illumination. Let's see, everything by default I think is set to fast because we picked mobile rendering early on.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if it's a 2D game, we don't have to worry too much on graphic,
Especially, yeah,
cannot,
yeah,
heavy graphics. It's going to be more on the 2D end.
yeah. Internationalization we can worry about later. GUI timers, common
The
fonts.
main
Oh yeah, you could.
focus is the speed.
Yeah, we are probably going to need to pull a font into this project at some point,
Where is it?
but it's under GUI.
GUI. Oh,
Network we won't worry about. Threading
okay.
won't worry about.
Huh.
Oh, input devices. Uh, Compatibility, legacy just press behavior, pen tablet, buffering, pointing. Okay, emulate touch from mouse is good. Emulate mouse from touch is also on. So that's probably just what we need there.
Mm-hmm.
Layer names, file system, navigation, 2D, 3D avoidance. All right, so that would about cover everything. There's input map as well, but I think the guide we're following will already walk us through that.
Yeah.
So I think the most
Localization.
important thing we needed, yeah, I think the most important thing we needed to cover there was the resolution.
Mhm.
So if you press play, you should see a window to the specs that we had set earlier.
Where is the play button?
Upper right.
Upper right. Okay. Selected scene main does not exist.
Yeah. So it'll ask you to save the current scene as main.
Okay.
So Control S. I'd probably drag it into a folder called scenes just to keep them organized.
Control S. Okay. Oh. It's saying node now. Probably because I just hit.
Oh, node2d.tscn. Yeah, it'll just name it whatever the root name of the current scene.
Okay.
Root node. The name of the root node of the current scene.
Okay, and you were saying what to name the file? Probably?
Main.tscn.
No, a file to put it in.
Oh, a folder. Yeah, scenes. So keep all your scenes organized. Although everything in Godot is a scene, so you might have to put them into subfolders to keep them organized later.
Mm-hmm.
Like things like puzzle pieces, character sprites, and then maybe a folder for each separate character, just so that they don't all get jumbled up.
Okay, so would I need to rename node to main.c?
You might not have to, as long as the game recognizes it as your main node. You don't have to name it main.tscn. I think similarly.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, if you feel you have to, then go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just what I do. I don't think it's mandatory or anything.
Sorry.
You've already drawn out your possible game screen, so that's what this guide that I'm looking at is currently doing.
Yeah, pressing play is not doing anything.
Oh, not even a window's coming up?
A window's coming up, but it's saying selected scene TSCN does not exist. Select a valid
okay.
one. Go to project
All right.
settings under the application. Oh, okay.
Project settings under application. Project settings, general application. Run, main scene. Okay, so yeah, under application run, the top entry is main scene.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess hit the folder icon and then select the scene you just saved. Is it not available?
It is not available.
All right, close out of the project settings, hit Control S.
Okay.
And save the current scene as main.tscn.
Okay. There we go. I've got something.
Okay.
I've got a gray screen, but it's working.
Good. And it's vertical?
It's horizontal. I think there might be an issue here.
Okay, go into the display and set the resolution so that the big number is in height and the small number is in width.
Display. Where is in project settings?
Or the big number is in height. Yeah, project settings, display
Display.
window. So for my game, I have the viewport width and height both set to 1,000.
Okay, so where's. I'm sorry.
Okay, project settings, general tab.
Yep,
Display is the second category. Window is the first subcategory.
yep, I'm here.
Okay, viewport width should be, what did I say, 607?
Oh, there's my problem.
What was it?
It was flipped. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That one was on me. There we go. I've got a vertical screen.
There we go. All right. So the game that I'm making here is it's going to be on a square playfield, and I'm not sure um, if I would have it run on a phone. But since the phone's width is 1080 and a screen's height is around
Mm-hmm.
a screen's height is 1080 and a phone's height or width is 1080, I figure 1,000 is
Mm-hmm.
a safe square number. 1,000 by 1,000 is a
And
safe
if
square to
nothing
use.
else, maybe change that to make it another, like, I don't know. Part of me is thinking maybe after the fact do the mobile.
Yeah,
Make it more of the, after the more or less
after the web
web or
page. Yeah,
computer version.
yeah. If we have a like the way that itch.io does its mobile site
Mm-hmm.
is when you run a game on their mobile site, it makes that game full screen on a phone.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like it'll also take into account whether you set in the editor. If you set it in portrait mode and you turn your phone sideways, then the game will not turn. If you set it to sensor, the game will turn. So if you set it to portrait, then the game will kind of tell you that this game is meant to play in portrait mode. But if you set it to landscape, it'll turn it sideways and say this game is meant to be played in landscape mode.
Mm-hmm.
But if you set it to sensor, then it'll turn the game as you turn the phone, so that it
Alright.
can be played in either mode.
Okay. Alright, so what can we do now here?
I am fast forwarding through that other guide right now.
Okay.
So this guy is still drawing out his possible game screen on some grid paper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's going through his settings.
Project settings? Or.
Yeah, he's going through his project settings.
Okay. No, in the meantime, I'm gonna have a window capture of the other, at least, you know, something
Hmm.
for the folks to view.
Okay. So let's see. Let's scribble up. It might be good to have an art program as well to scribble up some art assets. So we want like a battle background for the for where the palette stacking takes place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, that.
One thing that kind of bothers me about a lot of YouTube game dev guides is that they start with download this asset pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they basically have all their assets either pre-made for them or they have a pack that they want you to download. And usually when I'm following these guides, I want to make it in the course of making something original. So I don't want to download a pre-made asset pack. I want them to tell me you're going to need these kinds of assets. You're going to need a background and some characters and some little jiggly bits of jello that'll fall into the screen or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Not, oh, buy my thing. Aren't I
Not even
great?
buy, like even if they're offering it for free, it's not an original, it's not my assets, so I don't want to use it.
Mm-hmm. for right
Like even
now.
if I'm making a nearly identical, even if I'm making a nearly identical game, I still want to use my own assets.
Hmm.
So let's see. I guess one thing we should have available, should have ready, are the little blobs of paint, little blobs of paint that we're gonna combine.
Oh yeah, I could probably use Rebel for that
All right.
because Rebel has a really nice. Oh, not word, not word. Ah, we're experiencing some technical difficulties because apparently I opened up Word first at one point.
One thing I really appreciate about this Linux build that I have is the if if I accidentally open up like 5 instances of OBS, or if there's a program that takes a long time to start and I accidentally started it, like I don't know, if I opened up Firefox and decided that, oh wait, I don't need Firefox open right now, I can immediately open a terminal window
Hmm.
and just say, just type in kill all Firefox, and it will immediately end all Firefox processes.
Hmm.
Or like kill all OBS dash studio, and immediately all 25 instances of OBS that are struggling to start will stop, and I'll get that all that RAM and processing back. It's really useful. Or like even in some cases when Godot, like I'm having trouble closing a program like Godot or Blender because there's something that I forgot to save, or I just need the program like dead. Then yeah, open a terminal window, and just type kill all command, and then the name of the program that's running, the name of the process that's running, and all of its related processes are terminated. Oh, Remina is another one. Remina has just a whole bunch of nag screens that when I try to close it and it tries to keep itself open, just kill all Remina, and it's dead. Simple as that.
Okay, I'm saving this under a new little file. I'm gonna call it blobs.
What do you got for a since this is a game that deals with color, what do you got for colorblind options?
Colorblind? I was thinking about using symbols or something.
Hmm. Yeah.
Or having a
I know that too
colorblind
many.
selection and just saying, oh, hey, this is this and this is for that.
Yeah.
Making it to where it's selectable, it's accessible, but, you know, if you want it, it's there.
Yeah.
If it's not your thing, fine.
A lot of my smaller game ideas, and too many even, has color as a big theme, and I
Mm-hmm.
got to think about what kind of options I want there to be for colorblind players.
Mm-hmm.
Like for too many, since it's a tactical, since it's a color tactic system, I was thinking red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet uh, would have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Mm-hmm.
and then if you can't uh, if you don't know what if you can't see or don't know what colors are opposites to each other, you could change it to a number tactical system where like if red is 1 and green is 6, then you want to like you can see that your opponent has like 6 tactic armor, so you want to use a 1 tactic weapon. So basically if the numbers add up to 7, then you know they're opposites.
Mm-hmm.
They're either that or maybe -3, -2, -1 for red, orange, yellow, and then -3 or -1, -2, -3, and 1, 2, and 3, so that opposites add up to 0.
Maybe not this brush. I need something with texture.
So even if you're not mathematically inclined, you can just match the number and the sign.
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit of a challenge there in that you would also there's also tints and shades in white and black. So we might have to do something like
Oh,
point 0.1 minus point 0.1. Oh, hey, Andrebrina.
working on paint dollops. If worst
Yeah.
case, hmm, trying to
So
think.
we need a clear background
Yeah, this
and
will
like maybe a 100 by 100 image. So the point of this game is to create as many colors as you can, right?
Yes, by creating combos, so there'll be
Yeah. So I don't know
three.
if the mathematical I don't know if the mathematical approach would work.
Um, Maybe have symbols on it. For
Yeah.
like magenta will be M, blue, and then
Yeah.
yellow,
So
and
then
then
like the most letters you can create by combining them. Yeah.
the combos will just spell itself out. Green, red.
Yeah. Yeah, we're making little art assets for game. We also have the Godot engine open in the background. We're just kind of following along with some of the existing guides to see if we can update them. Well, not really update them, but just follow along in a Godot 4.0 capability. So Butterfly's game is called Palette Stack. So we're just concepting out what it's about. It's I'm imagining something like Super Puzzle Fighter, uh, or maybe Puyo Puyo. Goes well, maybe a little bit closer to Puyo Puyo because we've got like wacky characters.
Yeah,
I still like the hot dog guy that we came up with last time. That
right.
he thinks he's at a hot dog eating contest, and all of his paint blobs are just hot dogs.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I like this brush. It's got texture. Um, I want this as textured as humanly possible. Worst case, throw this out the window. And
I guess each splotch can look unique as well, so that if you can't tell what color it is by the color, and if the letter is hard to read, then the unique shape of the splotch should say something too.
right. Oh no.
My connection is really bad. Oh, it happens on some days. I remember when I was living with some roommates, if if we were all streaming at the same time, and unfortunately that did happen quite a bit. Um, Basically nobody's stream would go through correctly, and it was just a matter of who gave up first. And I hated that kind of environment because it was basically like, yeah, whoever's the most obnoxious streamer wins. The most obnoxious, most inconsiderate streamer wins in that situation.
I'm going to duplicate
Ooh, a
this
square
letter.
brush.
I'm adding the details of said paint dollop and then.
It's not the stream, it's my internet. Oh,
Okay. Still stinks, but. Yeah.
yeah. Gives you that little bit of a 3D effect on the dollop.
Yeah.
Just going to lurk here for now. All right. It's
Alright.
good to have you here either way.
Yeah. Trying to make this look like a paint dollop.
Yeah. a fresh little blob from the tube, the paint tube.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. A little bit of shiny, a little bit of shadow.
Yeah.
Although I think the light and shadow of yeah, when it's at full saturation, it's
Hello.
overwhelming what color it is. There we go.
Maybe have a light one for just the highlight.
Mm-hmm. Specular.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not that big, but oh,
I wonder if that egg photo that I posted earlier might be helpful. It's got like a ton of specular highlights on it, just because my kitchen has 5 ceiling lights,
hmm.
and they're all just reflecting off of the egg and off of the bowl and back onto the egg again, and there's just a whole bunch of little specular highlights all over the egg.
Let's see. One thing I can do about this too, the round brushes have the option to change the opacity a little.
Hmm.
Well, so do the watercolors. Just make sure to turn off the water portion of the watercolor because bad things happen.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking this one now.
Maybe. We just need a little blob of color. Little blob of color in each of magenta, yellow, and cyan?
Yep,
Yeah, magenta, yellow, and cyan.
I'm gonna duplicate this.
They're almost the pansexual colors.
Yeah.
I think they're just described as pink, yellow, and blue, but they're very close to magenta, yellow, and cyan.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're also the standard printer ink colors.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it that they were using secondary colors when I first learned about this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was told that you're supposed to use the primary colors to mix up all the other colors in the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. And then you blow their minds when you tell them, "Oh, hey, if you mix yellow and magenta, you get red."
Yeah. Or just that any of the secondary colors, mixing the secondary colors in, was it light or paint? Mixing the secondary colors in paint, I guess, produces the primary colors.
Mm-hmm.
And then yeah, it was very confusing growing up because like the first one I had learned was that it was red, yellow, and blue that were the primary colors. And those were easy to mix in paint to make the secondary colors of orange, green, and purple.
Yeah.
And then it just like when you try to mix red, green, and blue, they don't make white, and red and green doesn't make yellow, and green and blue doesn't make cyan, but it makes like a darker turquoise. Like when you mix them in paint, they get darker.
Hmm.
And it's just when you hear people saying that you mix them in light, well, you don't exactly have light bulbs to play around with, you have paint. And you mix them in paint, and they don't form the colors that they keep telling you. First a horrible Slenderman movie, now a FNAF movie. Yeah. I mean, FNAF is crazy popular, and like I've never really gotten into it, but like I'm just kind of observing its popularity from the sidelines.
Hmm.
Like people really like their like creepypasta style horror.
Right.
I as you know, I've more or less sworn off horror for quite a long time now, so I'm just kind of very watching it from a very distant perspective. Actually, the thing that confused me most was the JRPG of FNAF, the FNAF JRPG, and like I remember just seeing like little clips of it, and I'm like, is this still supposed to be a scary franchise? Like, are they humanizing the monstrous fleshies? I observe more than play. Yeah.
It's a little bit better than the first attempt.
Yeah, a little bit more blobby.
Yeah.
Can you give the paint blob a face? Uh, a W face. I feel like we'd be kind of turning them into Puyos. I guess that would be another way to distinguish them.
Hmm.
Give each paint blob its own unique uwu face.
Okay, let me try. Hear me out here. Trying red and like
All
some
right.
light opacity to kind of. No problem. Any day of the year.
Ooh, yeah, that gives it some translucency. You can
Yeah.
kind of see the table underneath.
Makes it look a little bit deeper too.
Hmm.
You know what? I'm going to.
Translucent gel paints. This kind of reminds me of the time I tried to create a cabochon gem brush in GIMP.
Hmm.
I learned how to make the shape of the brush, but not how to get just the right dynamic so that it looks like I could like bedazzle whatever I was painting over.
Hmm.
So all I really did was create a round brush with a specular hole in it.
Whoops.
Yeah. I guess like I got to where I was going partially. Like I could still fill in the hole with the white or the light, and then fill in the rest with whatever color the gem was supposed to be. But yeah, it only saved me like one step out of the possibilities of what I could do with brushes.
Mhm.
I might try it again. Like I'm suddenly thinking like I should try it again.
Why not?
Yeah.
Uh, hmm. It, it's too easy to get too enveloped in this.
Yeah. Like the players need to recognize it. At least the color sighted players need to recognize it as a magenta
Mhm.
splotch when it falls. So there can't be too much light. There can't be too much light and shadow and other colors in there, uh, as that could be confusing.
Maybe just a kiss of lighter color here.
That a little subtle 3D effect
Yeah, and maybe a hint of the red in the center just for
for translucency.
a tad bit of depth. Make it look a little bit thicker than it is. There we go.
Yeah. And then we could probably hue shift the colors into yellow and cyan
Hmm.
to represent. I don't know if I posted this anywhere, but I have um, a match three swapping game with hexagons in the works, and one of the first things I did was I have seven colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. But I also have colorblind versions of those, which are just like different mandalas that I'm trying to make them look distinct from each other. So I have like a colorblind red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet,
Hmm.
and you can just toggle between them. The very very early prototype I have on itch.io. The only thing that's working is the toggle colorblind mode. So it creates three hexagons at random, and like you can't interact with the game in any way other than toggling colorblind mode on and off. And I'm kind of proud that I got colorblind mode working so easily.
Hmm.
All right, let's make the background on this transparent and export it as a PNG.
Just adding a little bit more of a almost trying to make it like it has like a little shiny rim around it.
Okay. Studio lighting.
Yeah, just very okay. I gotta think simple, 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 simple.
Mm-hmm. We got to make as many of these as there are colors in your game.
Hmm.
So we can't spend too much time on any one of them.
Sorry,
Oh no, it's like I want your game to turn out as good as it can.
but it
So
is
if you,
easy to get lost in details, tiny details. Just blending these a little bit better.
all right. Just before we went live, someone was asking about like, let me see your OCs, and like right now, the only OC that I really have is Kunya, and she's still in progress.
Hmm.
So I posted my current work in progress character sheet, model sheet.
Okay, I'm going to take this off window capture.
All right.
So I could save the file.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one quirk about window capture is that if you are window capturing a program that can create its own windows, OBS will only capture the main window.
Hmm.
So like in Godot, we will only see this main window scene. Oh, Zuki is here. Zucchini sitting on the windowsill. Is she being a squeaky? Where's Gunstar? He is on my bar stool,
Okay. I have
sunbathing under the kitchen lights.
the magenta one saved.
All right. So drag it into the to import a file. You could drag it into the lower left panel in the Godot project window.
Oh,
The panel that shows all the files there.
yep. I already have it here.
Okay. Oh, no squeaky tonight, but she probably will later. All right, let's get the next color.
Although I probably should change the resolution. It's a high resolution blob.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we probably want these assets to load in pretty quick.
And gosh darn it, Rebel. Why did you do this to me? It crashed. But it has autosave, so
Okay. Not all is lost.
not all is lost. I at least have the PNG.
Yeah. So let's do the yellow blob next.
File new. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
recreate this as a 100 by 100 like you had.
Okay. Yeah. 100 by 100 is a pretty safe a safe size to start for small sprites.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, I'm reminded of I think it was something going around in the RPG Maker community about pillow shading your sprites.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't what you would call pillow shading, is it? Or is
Um.
pillow shading where it's brighter in the middle and darker on
Oh.
the edges?
Okay. So I cannot do that with the blob. The
Can't
blob
do
is
what?
pixelated beyond belief.
All
So
right.
blobs
I
will have
mean,
to
it should
say,
be fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing is I've got the PNG, so
Yeah.
I may have ruined this, but I have not ruined the original file.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is save this as Lubs. Alright. And let me open up the window again. Doot. Alright. There's an easy way to do this. Duplicate layer. And let's see. Color.
I'm gonna do a hue shift.
Yep. See if I can do this right.
Whoa. All right. We probably want to give it a slightly more distinct shape as well. Maybe just we could probably easily do that by like turning and squashing and stretching it a little bit.
How about this? That would be easy. Let me. Ooh. Maybe not that one. Testing out brushes here.
All right.
No. Too round. Nah.
Hmm.
The
That looks
almighty,
like it would work for a hair shader, a hair specular.
the almighty fan brush. Might be a little much.
A spiky sun kind of blotch. Or a dandelion blotch there. Kind of a flowery blotch there.
Trying to make
No.
sure I add the loading and oiliness because it adds more texture. Speaking
Yeah.
of texture, oh, this is kind of texturous. Might be a little much though for.
Yeah. We want it to be about the same size, but a distinct shape.
Ooh, hold up. We got spray cans too.
Ah.
No, not that. Okay, no. Maybe not spray cans.
Yeah, it's a little too slow. I wonder if there ought to be like a little ASMR aspect as well. Like when you're mixing the paints, you get like a satisfying mixing noises, brushing and mixing noises.
Yeah.
I will have to figure out something in the old Foley lab.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Kind of like a tube dabbed and dabbed and swirled on the palette.
Yeah. Or like a paintbrush, just kind of.
Get that paint down on there.
Mm-hmm. And this one's going to be painted. Color I can already tell. But what we're going to do.
I'll give it that same little bit of highlights and gel depth.
Yeah. 'Cause, uh, yeah, I don't think doing.
Maybe a more saturated orange.
Let me try that.
Aha.
not that much. Maybe a different brush. I kind of like the contrast here.
Yeah.
Um,
Whoa, what was that one? That brush that just sort of like almost um burned a light specular onto the page.
um, might have been this one.
Yeah. Maybe just a tiny bit of that. Maybe this one could have an uwu face.
Hold on, we could fix this.
Like this is kind of like I am thinking a little bit about Puyo Puyo this whole time, and all the blobs in Puyo Puyo have a different face on them,
Mhm.
and their eyes stretch out when they start connecting with each other.
Mhm.
Like if it's just two, then they look at each other, but if there's three, the one in the middle is like, oh no.
It's having existential dread.
Yeah. This is
I
like
know what's gonna happen after this.
yeah, because yeah, Puyo Puyo is a match four as opposed to a match three. So it's like, yeah, once three of them start connecting, it's just the one in the middle that's like, oh no,
It's the
the end
wobbly
is
Jenga.
nigh.
It's the wobbly Jenga piece.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to add, just to kind of. Okay, maybe not that brush. I think it was. Might be round. This one. Just to kind of reinforce the whole. Oh, hey, this is a paint.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's got to be bright. It's got to be vibrant, saturated, and of course a little bit smeared here and there
Yeah,
because of the paintbrush application.
actually, looks kind of better
I was
this
kind
way.
of thinking like, what if for the cyan one it's just like you dollop the tube down and it's just like a cylinder, like it comes out like a cylinder,
Hold on.
like it could look like a little cylinder of toothpaste kind of a deal almost.
We could work
You
on
know
this.
how in the commercials, how the toothpaste looks in the commercials when it's like placed on the toothbrush is like this perfect looking uh, cylinder with pointed ends.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah, that
take
could be the
care.
cyan one. Oh yeah. See you next time, Enderbrina.
Yeah,
Thanks for dropping by.
anytime. Okay, let me try that with flat and dry and. There we go. Well, maybe not to that extent.
Yellow is more vertical, so I think cyan should be more horizontal.
There we go. Maybe trim that up a bit. I say trim that up a bit and then look at me. I think that would, it's distinguishable enough from
Yeah,
magenta.
yeah.
Trying to add more texture here.
Hmm.
If you paint with this mode on, that texture that you see will go through other layers. It's kind of cool.
Oh, very high tech.
Hmm. So one thing I really like about this program is just how much little details you have added to it. Maybe not blue. Maybe more green. Dark green.
Um, yeah, we haven't seen green yet, so that would probably be. I was briefly thinking about like, what if all the dollops had just a little hint, had a little hint of like, since all the dollops are cyan, magenta, and yellow, each of them had a little dollop of red, blue, and green in its shadows, in its shading somewhere, just to sort of hint at what they would mix into.
Hmm.
That might be too confusing to look at, because it has to be there has to be a large, evident color for the player to see.
Hmm. Hmm. Running into magenta dilemmas.
Yeah, I almost want to say the texture does the job already.
Yeah.
But yeah, you do want to make it look like a dollop and not like it was painted, not like it was painted flat onto the board.
Hmm.
Rebel doesn't have like a tube of paint dollop applicator kind
As
of thing, does it?
as far as I
Calling it a
know, no.
brush. Yeah. I don't think any paint program does, other than maybe Kid Pix.
Does Kid Pix really count though?
Like that's what I'm thinking. Like putting a dollop of paint right onto the canvas would be something that maybe only Kid Pix would think of.
Hmm.
The only art program that I've kind of played around with that does something similar to paint texture physics is Art Academy,
Hmm.
and even that has a like it has a feature where if you spray the current layer, it locks it in place.
Huh.
So then you could paint a layer on top of it as if it's basically as if you had waited for the paint to dry, so it won't mix with the layer on top.
Hmm.
Like if it dries and hardens, like if it just isn't paint anymore, you're just painting on a surface or on a colored canvas.
Okay, so what I'm thinking about doing
Hmm.
little streaks because I kind of want to keep this texture.
Yeah. See, add the streaks as highlights.
Hmm.
All right.
Just ever so slightly.
Hmm.
I think that's.
Yeah. It's a thickly applied dollop for cyan.
Hmm. There we go. Today on my stream, I painted the primary colors.
The first couple of dollops. Oh wait, there's also. Are you also using like black paint dollops? Or
Probably not.
okay. It just occurred to me that printers have like cyan, magenta, yellow, and black CMYK.
Hmm. I think if you mix all the colors up to a certain point with a certain concentration, you can get black. But as for white,
Mix all the colors with a different concentration.
hmm. I kind
What
of
if
want.
you have to? What if mixing cyan, yellow, and magenta makes black, but mixing red, green, and blue makes white?
That's the light colors.
Yeah,
Not necessarily primary. Um,
it's like a step further, but yeah.
hmm. Maybe make that for a hard mode.
Okay.
Add more colors to.
Like if you mix basically if you mix cyan, magenta, and yellow, you get black just as is. But if you take the extra steps to mix cyan and magenta to get blue, and then cyan and yellow to get green, and then yellow and magenta to get red, and then red and green to make yellow again, and then yellow and blue, then that, because that's like a special, because you took those extra steps, it would make white. But maybe that would be too complicated.
Something like that for white.
Yeah.
The
You could give
chalky.
it almost you could give it kind of a snowflake pattern. So a six-way symmetry, six-way radial symmetry, or is it
It's not really
rotational
too easy
symmetry?
with this
Is there a
program.
mandala tool?
I don't think there is.
Ah,
Side note, almost like a moon kind of thing here going on.
maybe. Yeah, there's probably going to have to be some shading around the edges. You got your square brush.
And for white, I usually go for like a light blue for.
All right. dollop of white paint.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, it's looking very bright, especially with the blue around there.
Hmm. Usually a good trick of mine whenever I just want to create highlights, you'll make the white color look darker so that way whenever you use like the brightest white, it kind of highlights
Yeah.
it.
All right, so we got our
Hmm.
CMYW blobs. Let's see, next we need a grid shape in the background to hold these blobs as they fall into the playfield.
I have to say, I think yellow is my favorite.
Yeah. Magenta looks really good too, though.
Hmm. All right. Um, do you want to continue this next time on this?
Yeah, I'll link you the guide that I was looking at before, and
Okay.
we'll see how much of it we can follow from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for watching. Please be sure to check more of these. I hope we can do some more of these in the meantime. Please be sure to check out Cumulative. I've got his info to his YouTube down below and also at the top right here. His
Yay.
Twitter handle is, as you see it, Q underscore mulative.
Underscore.
He has game dev stuff, random art pieces, random game clips and whatnots, and just other various things. Alright, thank you all, and goodbye.
Yay.